In this masterclass, we are going to cover Zoho Desk. That way you can build and use a customer support system that scales. So we're going to start with what Zoho Desk is and why it's useful. Then we'll discuss Zoho Desk's workflow. That way you can understand how the application is generally worked, providing you with much needed context right off the bat. From there, we'll discuss proper setup in Zoho Desk because setting up Zoho wrong sets you and your system up for failure. Then we'll discuss Zoho Desk basic training, reporting, how to build automations, and more. Okay, so this masterclass is beginner friendly. So if you are a Zoho Desk beginner, don't stress it. You'll be a Zoho Desk power user by the end of the training. And before we get into the masterclass, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. By subscribing, you'll stay up to date on Zoho's changes and you'll get in-depth training on various Zoho applications for free. All right, so let's start off with what Zoho Desk actually is. And I think the best way to explain this to you is to show you an example of what most people do and why it's not a scalable system. So a lot of people will have an email for support on their site. This is one of my client sites. You can also see Zoho has the same thing. They have a bunch of different emails that you can send an email to in order to get into contact with the organization. Now, Zoho definitely doesn't do this, but smaller organizations do this all the time where this email actually goes to someone's individual email inbox, like their Gmail account, their Outlook account, whatever email client that they're using. That's where the email will be sent. And they'll manage all of their customer support from their email inbox. And that's okay if you're planning on staying small, but if you're planning to grow and expand your customer support efforts, that's just not going to work because you're going to have a team of people around you who want to also help you tackle the different situations that arise that demand customer support. So the way that you scale the system is you have a desk solution like Zoho Desk. And Zoho Desk essentially allows you to set up a shared email inbox. And when you think of Zoho Desk, I want you to think of a shared email inbox, or in other words, it's an email inbox that your whole team can jump into. That way, each of you can contribute to the customer support efforts. Not all of you have to log into the same email client or email address. I mean, would you really want to, as a customer support rep, give everyone access to your email client, like your Gmail or your Outlook? No, you're not going to do that. You shouldn't do that. You should get a desk solution. And what you can do is when people email this email, it will port over to your Zoho Desk solution. And it's so much more robust because then you can round robin assign or assign by department or assign by location the different tickets. And a ticket meaning a ticket represents a situation in which you need to provide customer support. It could be a question, could be a concern, anything where a customer feels like they need support, they can email you and that becomes a ticket in a desk solution. So we're going to go way more in depth on that. But the thing I want you to understand from this section of the video is Zoho Desk equals a shared email inbox for your team. All right, now we're going to discuss the overall Zoho Desk workflow. And I think this is really important to do before I go into basic training or anything else, because if you don't know generally how the application is supposed to work in the user flow, then you're going to be kind of waiting and like you're going to be on the edge of your seat throughout the rest of the video thinking, but give me the whole picture. So I'm going to give you the whole picture and then we're going to zoom in later sections of the video to more specific training like basic user training, how to build automations, how to build reports. But before I show you any of that, I want to show you how Zoho Desk flows from the customer over to your team and how a team operates the system. So let's start with the client site I was showing you earlier. On most websites, there should be some kind of support email function. Now, there's a lot of channels that can actually trigger a Zoho support ticket, a ticket submission. You can use a form on your site. Most people have like a support@domain.com, something like that. But if you don't have it, that's totally fine. The idea is that you have somewhere on your site for someone to request support. Now you can see Zoho also has this as well. They have different support email addresses that you can contact. And then your desk solution, Zoho Desk, should provide you with support email addresses. And you can see here, these are the support email addresses that I'm getting for this demo instance out of the box. but you should customize yours. So it says support, not yourdomain.zohodesk.com. That's ugly. You want support at yourdomain.com. And you can customize these. We're going to go in that more in depth later during the setup section. But for now, we're going to use this exact email address, which Zoho gives you out of the box, to submit a ticket. So you can see here, I'm inside of Gmail. Yes, I use Gmail instead of Zoho Mail. The reason that I do is I really like Google's Workspace suite better than Zoho's Workspace suite. I love Zoho for what Zoho is amazing at, but I also like Google for what Google is amazing at. So I'm like married to Gmail. I've been using it since I was pretty young. And so Gmail is better than Zoho Mail, in my opinion. That's why I use it. So with that in mind, I'm going to send an email to the support address, right? support@brockbankagency.zohodesk.com. support@brockbankagency.zohodesk.com. You could send an email to this support address as well, and it would enter my demo Zoho Desk instance. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and send this. And now that it's sent, we're going to give it a couple of seconds, and then we're going to jump over to Zoho Desk. And this is where customer support agents live, right? They're inside of Zoho Desk. And this is the Zoho One interface. That's why you're seeing a sidebar. So the application Zoho Desk. You can also, if you're just using Zoho Desk, go to desk.zoho.com, and then it will take you to this interface. You're just not going to see the sidebar. You're going to see everything to the right of that. All right. So with that, I don't think you can see the URL, but I'm at one.zoho.com. You can also go to desk.zoho.com. Okay. So a customer support agent is in this view. Okay. And we're going to refresh this, and we should see a ticket come in. Let's give it a moment. Awesome. Okay, Brockbank Consulting to support. That email that I set up earlier, it's entered into the system. And so when someone emails the support address, it enters as a ticket representing a situation in which you need to provide support. Someone's got a question, a concern, they need some help, and you're supposed to provide it. So the nice advantage here with Zoho Desk, as opposed to me just managing in my Gmail or Zoho Mail, is I can invite other users as I grow, and I can assign them tasks. You can see this one's assigned to me. But what I do from here is I click in, and now I've expanded this view, right? So this is the all tickets view, but I can click into a specific ticket and get more detailed information on the ticket. And this is where things get interesting. So you still have the list view, which is nice. It's just condensed to the left-hand side of the screen. More in the center of the screen here, we've got ticket properties. All right, so I've got contact information. Unfortunately, I have this synced with Zoho CRM, which I highly recommend you do if you're using Zoho CRM and Zoho Desk in tandem together, because you want to be able to just hop over to Zoho CRM if you want to reference additional information that's not contained on the ticket or in the Zoho Desk record. So here's some key information. You got the ticket owner, the status, the due date, any tags I want to apply, ticket information, the layout that I'm in, phone number, product name, skills. You can add custom fields to this as well, but it gives you additional information or data points on the ticket. Cool. All right, so on the right-hand side here, everything from this point to the right, we've got the ticket itself. So you can see the title of the ticket is the subject line that I gave the email that I sent. And from here, you've got a bunch of granular information you can look into. You can even time yourself so you can see how long it takes you to respond. And then here, it starts to look kind of like an email, right? Reply all, just reply, forward. And then you can also add comments. You can add a comment to the ticket. It's not going to actually send to the client unless you wanted to. You can comment private. And essentially, this just allows your team to collaborate more effectively. So if you're going to roast someone when you're giving customer support, you do it privately. You shouldn't roast anybody, but a lot of customer support agents, you'd be surprised what's going on in the comments section when you're asking questions. So don't do that, but if you do it in private. All right, you can also edit the ticket, move the ticket around, change the layout, share, follow the ticket so that you can see what's going on, the updates that are being made to a ticket in the thread, mark as unread, mark spam, delete, clone. You got a bunch of options there. Now, to go over general workflow with you, essentially, you're going to treat this as if you were in your email inbox responding to somebody who emailed you, right? So you'd go to reply all and you say, okay, so this is the problem. Hey team, our client with our client X with organization Y is having an issue. You disassociate the currently associated Zoho Analytics account enabling us. Initially you'd probably say something like, thank you so much for reaching out. And then you could, when you go to reply, you got a couple of options. So you probably want a templated initial response. Just, hey, thanks for reaching out. We're going to analyze what you said. And we're going to get you a solution. So you have all these different agent notifications that you can use. And this is the email template, right? So right here, this is a template. And then you've also got snippets. So snippets is like a personal template. It's like a template is going to be shared with everybody, hopefully, so that they can all take advantage of, a response for a frequently asked question. Whereas a snippet is more of like your personal database. You can also share snippets, and that's where they kind of overlap, but generally you're going to make a snippet for you. So that's how you have the snippet section. If I click on a snippet, you can see it populates here. I'll do that again for you. You just click here, and then it will populate inside of the response. And then for a template, same deal. So if I go here and I click, you can see it populates here, and it looks a little more professional, or maybe not professional. It's more prettied up, but generally, people will use snippets for themselves, and then templates are shared amongst the organization. From there, you can also use suggested articles. So you can see this section has been selected, and suggested articles allows me to dip into my knowledge base. And if you're not familiar with the knowledge base, essentially, as you're answering frequently asked questions, it starts with like a snippet. And this is, I'm making this sound linear. It's not always going to happen this way, but generally you have a snippet and then that starts to grow and you get the question more and more. And then it becomes a template because you're like, probably the rest of the team's having this issue too. We want everyone to have access to this template. You create a template and then you create an article, which is a full-fledged response, very in-depth, a more complete response to a frequently asked question. And that's where things get interesting with Zoho Desk. Because these suggested articles, once you create an article, you can first paste right into the ticket, or you can add this to a help center. And a help center is essentially the support.yourdomain.com. So you've probably been on someone's help center before. Zoho has a help center. If you look up how to do this in Zoho and it's an article, that's coming from Zoho's help center. And so that's what allows you with your customer support to be proactive, not just reactive. Because what you're doing in Zoho Desk, this is reactive. Someone's emailed you and said, I'm having this problem. But if it's a frequently asked question, a scalable system will take it further and say, as we're collecting knowledge-based articles, some of them we're not going to publish, but a lot of them we're going to publish onto our help center so that as people search for these things online, instead of overbearing our customer support team, we're going to be proactive. We're going to anticipate that these questions will be asked. We're going to publish them on our website so that people can read through them. Looks super professional. And it's just a better way to approach the customer support experience than just being reactive all the time. You want to be proactive. You want to anticipate the questions that they're going to ask if you can. Then you want to build resources around it. So twofold here with articles, you can one, paste an article into the ticket, like so, and you can publish your help center right here. And so this is a help center builder within Zoho Desk, but I can preview this like so. And then I can add my knowledge base articles so that anyone can come here if I publish it. And you can customize this. I don't think you can see the URL here, but this is a predefined URL that Zoho gave me. You can customize the URL to match your domain. And then people can go in and they can see different articles. They can also see all the tickets that they submitted. So this allows for a more proactive and better general customer support experience for your customers. Awesome. Okay, the last thing here, and then we're going to get more detail because this is a high level overview just to give you much needed context for what the application is all about. Then we're going to go more in depth. So here we've got reports. And the idea with reports is if you are like a customer support manager, you're going to want to say, okay, so how fast are we responding to tickets? You're going to jump into the report builder and you're going to jump into creating one. And you're going to want to see, let's run this. Please select at least one column. Got it. So you can see the average responded ticket time. You can see all this information, and it just allows you to further analyze what's going on with your customer support team. You can see if people are taking 30 minutes to answer a simple question, and maybe you can create a resource around it. It allows you to make better decisions because you can see what's going on. This is another advantage that a desk solution has over an email inbox, is you can analyze what's happening because the system was built to scale. Or in other words, it's not a system that has to be rebuilt from the ground up every time you grow or expand your customer support efforts. And so this reporting capability is really helpful because when you have the CEO, the owner come to you, maybe it's whoever you're reporting to, and you are over customer support. This is for admins. I'm talking more to admins right now. You might be a user and I don't have to worry about this. You can skip through it if that's the case. But if you're an administrator or customer support leader, you're going to want to have these reports. You're going to want to build out reports in order to show what's actually happening in customer support. How many tickets do you answer every month? How many are you closing every single month? Did your efforts with being proactive with the help center, did it reduce the amount of tickets? Those are the things that you can explore and understand when you use a solution like Zoho Desk. Let's go over Zoho Desk setup. I can tell you right now, if you're able to check off the box for each of these items, you are ready to go with Zoho Desk. So the first thing is you need to get Zoho Desk. And the best way to get Zoho Desk is by using the link in the description below and starting with a free account of Zoho One. Now you may be thinking to yourself, Drew, why are you taking me to Zoho One if we're talking about Zoho Desk? Well, Zoho One is the best bang for your buck. It's like $37 per user per month, billed annually if you go with all employee pricing, but you can just start for free. You don't even have to pay for anything. Go ahead and get Zoho One, support the channel, and try Zoho Desk out and just see if you like it. That's how you can access it. Or maybe you already have access to Zoho Desk, and that's perfectly fine as well. Just, I need you to be able to access Zoho Desk if you're going to set it up. So if you want to try it for free, you can do that using the link in the description below, and it'd be greatly appreciated. All right, so that's how you can get Zoho Desk. Let's talk about setting up a channel. So you have multiple channels inside of Zoho Desk that you can use in order to allow your customers to access your customer support team. The most popular one is email. I recommend you start with email. It's optional to do Help Center. If you want to start using chat and phone and web forms, that's awesome. You can do that, but I'm telling you 99% of people and organizations use just email and can get away with just using email. You can kind of expand into forms if you want to collect additional information outside of what someone just puts into an email and sends it over to you, but generally people can get away with email just fine. So in order to set up your email, you're essentially going to set up a forwarding rule. If you don't know what a forwarding rule is, essentially what you're doing is you set up a support@yourdomain.com on whatever email client that you're using or DNS that you're using, whatever you use to create new emails. Go ahead and go into the email administration section, the mail administration section, and set up an email from your domain or support@yourdomain.com. Now from there, I showed you earlier, if you've been watching this video from beginning to end, or from the beginning to now, you'll see that there's a support email address that Zoho gives you. And what you're going to do is you're essentially going to set up a new email address and you're going to apply a forwarding rule. And the tough thing is I can't really show you what the forwarding rule is because I don't know what platform you're using. So if you're in Gmail, Outlook, Zoho Mail, make sure you spin up a new email address and then you set up a forwarding rule. And the forwarding rule needs to forward all emails sent to the new support address to this support email address. If you do that, you are going to be set and set up for this channel, which is email. So that's the support email address. You've got a support email address and you've got from address. You also need to set up the from address. If you want it to be a custom email address instead of this ugly rockbankagency.zohodesk.com, see that? You can set up a new from address as well. And you'll want to do that so that you have a custom address that you're using as opposed to the out-of-box one that looks way less professional that Zoho is giving you. All right, so that's how you can set up a channel. Again, you're going to, number one, you're going to set up a new email address that says support@yourdomain.com that looks professional. And then you're going to set up a forwarding rule from that new email to the email address that Zoho gives you. Once you do that, you have your channel set up and ready to go. Or in other words, once you start putting that on your website, like you can see here, once you start adding that custom one to your website, that will allow people to access or submit tickets to Zoho Desk. So that's how you can effectively set up a channel. Okay, let's talk about setting up your email address. So in order to set up an email address, or in order, apologies, to set up your email signature, you're going to go over to Zoho Desk Setup, and then you want to navigate over to your preferences section. You can see the URL there, but essentially if you go to the setup section and do email signature, and you go to preferences, then you are going to find here, I'll show you where this is. Go to email, and then I select preferences, personal settings. Then it will take me to signature, and then I can add a signature. And you want to make sure that you have your signature. It looks so much more professional than if you don't have a signature. So everyone should be adding their signature. Some of the things I'm showing you today is for administrators who are setting up the system for the first time. A lot of this will apply to you if you're just a beginner and you want to be a power user. So you need to make sure that you set up your signature. So once you set up your email signature, the next thing you want to do is you want to import your contacts. So when you import your contacts, you can do it one of two ways. You can actually export from a system and import it into Zoho Desk, which I'm going to show you, or you can integrate with another system. For example, many of you are Zoho CRM users. Integrate with Zoho CRM. Don't reinvent the wheel. Don't export it from Zoho CRM and then import it. You don't need to do that work if you're already in Zoho CRM. There's a tight integration with Zoho Desk. So let me show you what this actually looks like. So first and foremost, this is a common thing or a common mistake that people make when they try to import. You cannot be, here we go. I'll show it to you from the top. Let me close out of here. Let me just go to the beginning. Okay, so the issue here is a lot of people will be in all departments view. They'll go to settings and they'll think, well, how can I bring in my data? Where's the import section? It's disappeared. And this is mind-boggling that this is the way that it works, but this is the way that it works. If you are in the all department view, you can't import your records. So you got to switch it over to a specific department, and you have to bring in your records to a specific department. And the reasoning behind this is Zoho Desk is department centric. And so essentially, in the same way that Zoho Desk is a shared email inbox, Zoho Desk is also has individual shared email inboxes for each department. And some people don't need access to the IT department's customer support section of Zoho Desk. They just need it for general customer support. So you have different, you can essentially set up like multiple instances of Zoho Desk within one instance, and that represents departments so that they can stay separate. So that's essentially what's going on with departments. But anyways, you got to select your specific department, and then you'll see the import and export option. So you saw as I switched through all departments, is it just like now you can't see import, you just see import history. You can't see import. But if I go over and do Brock Bank Agency, and then I go over to settings, you can see there's import export. So just make sure you select a department first. It's kind of confusing. We're going to talk about departments more in a moment. All right, so you can import different information into different modules. So you'd want to import your contacts and your accounts initially. That's what you'd want to do if you aren't using Zoho Desk or Zoho CRM. If you are using Zoho CRM, you just go over to setup, go to integrations. You'll want to go to Zoho. And then from here, you'll see Zoho CRM. You just want to make sure that you are integrated with Zoho CRM in order to get the most out of the tool. Once you set up the integration, you got accounts and contacts. You can even bring over products, and then you can set up your preferences for keep or delete depending on what information changes in both systems. So very robust sync. I highly recommend, if you're using Zoho CRM, you got to have this set up or you're just going to be doing a lot of double work for nothing. So make sure that's set up. It does not set itself up. You have to set it up in order for it to work properly. Okay, so we have gone over how to get your contacts into the system, or in other words, your customer information in the system. Let's talk about adding users. So in order to properly use Zoho Desk, you've got to have your agents, your customer support agents inside, or at least have access to Zoho Desk. And that's where you're going to go over to adding agents. And you can see here, you're just going to go to setup, users and controls, and then agents. And this is where you can add a new agent. Now, if I click on this, I'm in a Zoho 1 instance, so it's going to take me to the Zoho 1 admin panel. But if you're just using Zoho Desk, you go to the same place, click new agent here, and it's going to allow you to add all the members of your team to the instance. Now, there's a reason that I did what I did in this order. You want to make sure you have your contacts first, email set up, channel set up, that you have Zoho Desk before you add your users. I mean, do you really want to pay for additional users or licenses before you've migrated your data over? Probably not. So go ahead and add your users once you've completed everything above this. There is a reason to the madness here for everything that we're doing. So once you add users, then you can add departments. Excuse me. Once you add departments, you can add teams. We already went over departments a little bit, in that a department just represents a group of people in your organization that are organized around a particular function, whether it be IT, general customer support, whatever other departments you have that need to provide customer support, need access to Zoho Desk. You're in luck because Zoho Desk is department centric. So in order to add departments, you're going to go over to the cogwheel. Then you'll see a section for general. And then under that section, you'll see departments. You can go ahead and click this quick add if you just want to quickly add a department, but it should take you to a screen like this. And then you can add new departments as needed. Each department has its own channels as well. So you can set that up and essentially have multiple instances or occurrences of Zoho Desk within itself for each department. So they can operate independently from each other. And then you can add users to specific departments based on their needs. That's for a more robust setup. Maybe you're that big, maybe you're not, and you don't have to worry about it. But if you're a larger organization, this is critical to understand. Great. So next thing here that we want to get set up is adding teams. So you can add teams if you want to, but you don't have to. Teams is essentially grouping your agents within a department. So you can add your different agents together into a team. You can see I have a demo instance. I just have one agent added here, but again, that's why you want to do this in this order, right? You want to add users, add departments, then you can add your teams underneath the different departments as needed. You can give a team description, which just allows you to group things better. And then you can even add inside of a Zoho Desk ticket. You can actually assign a ticket to a team. You have to turn that ability on, but you do have that capability in Zoho Desk to assign a user to multiple people via team. So you can even give a logo to a team if you want to. So you can add teams. All right, next thing here that you want to be aware of is setting up Help Center. Now this is optional, so if you don't want to set up Help Center, you just want to get running, awesome. The thing that would be awkward about Help Center is if you set it up and you don't have articles ready to go, but you could make an argument that it's better just to set it up and then add articles so that it's there and it's already set up and you don't have to worry about it. So if you want to set it and forget it, this is how you set up Help Center. All right, so Help Center in Zoho Desk, the way that you're actually going to get there is you're going to navigate to the settings gear icon at the top right, and then you're going to see a Help Center section, and then you're going to go to Access Settings. Now, the reason you want to do this first before you go about customizing, which we're going to talk about in a moment, is what you want to be able to do is configure your Help Center URL. So I think this is really ugly, but this is already active. You can go to this URL and access my Help Center. It's a demonstration one. It doesn't have anything in it, but you can access it. So it's live. Your Help Center is already live. But if you want to customize the domain, which you should, because you don't want brockbankagencyinc.zohodesk.com that just looks super unprofessional. You want it to look like your domain. You want it to be, for me, right? My domain is drewbrockbank.com. It'd be help.drewbrockbank.com. So in order to customize that, you go to the custom domain section. Clicked on that pretty quick, but it's just right here underneath the URL. Then domains have not been mapped. I can map my domain. Now that gets into a whole other world going into your DNS, which is your domain name system. Maybe it's GoDaddy, Bluehost. Maybe you got a bunch of other ones that you're using. I'm not sure, but that's where you got to get in and add records. It gets a little tough for me to show you because I don't know which one you're using. At this point, you can look up map domain. It's going to give you, once you add your domain here, let me show you. Once you go to map domain, you need to add your domain here, verify ownership, get SSL. It's going to walk you through, Zoho Desk is going to walk you through exactly how to add the different records to your DNS. Or it's going to give you general direction, and then you need to dig into how to specifically do it for your domain name system, whether it be GoDaddy, Bluehost, or whatever you're using. Okay, so with that, that's how you can customize the Help Center URL and how you can customize your domain in order for it to be the most professional that you can. So then you have permissions. You can do, customers can sign up for the Help Center. Essentially, they can create accounts and submit tickets through the Help Center. Customers can view tickets. You can add all these different options if you'd like. I recommend you go through them and make sure that this is working correctly, or at the very least, that these options actually reflect your needs from the Help Center. All right, from there, once you have your domain mapped, which I don't in this demo, but I recommend you do if you're going to set it up, then you can go on to customizing. Now, in order to customize the Help Center, you'll just go to Help Center and then Help Center Customization, this option right here. When you click that, you'll be taken to a page that looks something like this. On the right is your Help Center. On the left is all the options you have to actually customize and make the Help Center look the way that you want it to look. And so generally, you have a few different options for the template. So I'm going to show you the different options that you have here. And you've got elegant, material, materialized, flat, and classic. You can actually preview these before you select them so that you can check out which one makes the most sense for you and which one you like. This one's kind of ugly, so I don't love it. But you can check through the different templates here and select the one that makes the most sense for you. Now, once you do that, you can go in and you can get more granular with your customization. You can make sure that it reflects your brand colors, whatever you like to do there. You can actually jump into the HTML and the CSS as well, if you know how to code and do front-end development there. You can do tabs, widgets. You have a lot that you can customize within the Help Center and even create custom widgets. There's quite a bit that you can do here. So these are just different sections that you can add into Help Center to further improve the customer support experience. That's what Help Center allows you to do. I mentioned this earlier, but it just allows you to be more proactive. Instead of waiting for people to ask questions, you can answer questions before they ever contact your customer support team. It's extremely powerful to be able to provide that kind of experience. And you want to be an organization that provides good documentation. That is how you want to represent your brand. And that's really the best thing you can do for your customers, is provide them with very clear answers to frequently asked questions before they even ask you. Of course, people are always going to reach out and they want to be babied, and they want you to be able to hold their hand as they have questions. That's totally fine. But some people want to be self-reliant, and they're like, I'll go search for the answers. And you want to make sure that those answers are available through the Help Center. So make sure you have this set up initially. It's optional, but I highly recommend it if you want to get the most out of Zoho Desk. So that's how you can set up Help Center inside of Zoho Desk. And that is how you can get set up. Again, if you can mark all of these checkboxes and check it all off, then you are ready to go inside of Zoho Desk. If you want to consider yourself a power user and you really want to understand how to use Zoho Desk in the best way possible, not as an administrator per se, but just as a agent, a customer support agent, if you want to know how to use it in the best way possible, this section of the video is for you. And what we're going to go over in this part of the masterclass is everything that you're seeing listed here. Because if you can check off all these boxes, I consider you a power user of Zoho Desk. Means if you can check the box on all this, means you understand the system properly and you understand how to use it according to best practices. So we're going to break each of these things down one by one. I'm going to show you how to use Zoho Desk in the best way possible. Okay, so first off, how to access different ticket views. So when you jump into Zoho Desk, and you can't see the URL here, but you can either go to desk.zoho.com if you're just using the Zoho Desk application. But if you're in Zoho One, you need to go to one.zoho.com, get added to Zoho Desk, and you'll see on the sidebar if you're in Zoho One. I'm just inside of Zoho Desk. But once you get there, you want to go over to the tickets section. And this is going to be your first place that you go as a customer support agent to see what do you need to do. And you can view tickets in different ways. Again, a ticket just represents a situation in which demands customer support attention. And so what you can do is you can flip through different ticket views. So you can see all views. These ones come out of the box, and you can even add custom views. So what's nice about a system like this as opposed to just using your email inbox, and I want to help you see all the advantages of this system because it's harder to use Zoho Desk, but there's so much automation and so much capability that you can take advantage of here that you could never do inside of an email inbox. And so it's harder to use at first and to learn, but it gets so much better. So it's going to be worse before it gets better if you're moving from a simple system like using an email inbox. So you're going to be so used to it and you're like, this is way too much. Well, just bear with me, learn all these things, give it a try, and you're going to see why this is so robust, why this is so scalable as opposed to simpler solutions. So with that in mind, you have different ways that you can view ticket information. And you can go through all ticket views. You can create your own custom view. And essentially with a custom view, you're essentially just saying, hey, here's all the different data points being collected. I want to filter it down so I'm not seeing everything. I just see what's relevant to me. So you can create different views there if you'd like to. And then you can give access to custom views to everyone or specific agents. Then you can add multiple criteria here and then define the logic. So it's like 1 and 2 or 3 or 1 and 2 and 3. You can set up different logic there. The main thing that I want you to understand is the different views here. So you got classic view, compact view, table view. So you can see as I change these up, what's happening here on the left-hand side to this actual row, table view. You can see it changes to look more like tabular, almost as if you're in a spreadsheet or a classic view. So again, those are like the 3 main views you have. And we'll call this a list view. You're seeing the information in a list, right? And I just have one, so it's not the greatest example, but you can see the exact changes that are happening to the user interface. Then you got status modes. So status modes is going to give you a Kanban view. I love Kanban views. I don't think it's the best view necessarily for all customer support agents, but it's something that you should be aware of because if you go into status mode, it essentially breaks up these different statuses you have for a ticket into a Kanban view. So each of these statuses then become a column on the Kanban view. So you can see if I flip back, we have open, on hold, escalated, and then I can flip through these different statuses. I can actually move through them. And the nice thing about this status mode is you can easily see your tickets in relation to your customer support process. So this just allows another way to view your information. The thing I don't like is it kind of groups up other statuses as one whole column on the board, which isn't great, but you can also flip through handshake mode. And handshake mode works in tandem with Zoho CRM to show you your tickets in relation to customers, potentials, contacts and leads, and new, which is pretty cool. So essentially, you can view information in relation to your Zoho CRM data with handshake mode. So you got to have the integration set up in order to access that, but it is something available. Then you've got countdown mode. So countdown mode is essentially showing you in relation to your service level agreement. And your service level agreement is essentially when you sign a customer, you essentially say, hey, we provide support. And they ask, well, what level of support do you provide? Well, we'll answer any ticket within 24 hours. And we close tickets within 48 hours. You need to agree on what level of service you're going to provide your customers. So this kind of gives you an idea of what your tickets are in relation to your SLA, and then hopefully your due dates are in line with your SLA. So you can see if it's overdue, no due date, due in an hour, due in 6 hours, on hold. So essentially you can see your tickets in relation to time, in which time frame you've committed to closing the ticket or responding to a ticket. Then you have priority mode. You can essentially set another Kanban view for how high of a priority each of your tickets are. And you do need these different views because you want to be able to view your information in different ways for different situations. Because in certain situations, you're going to want to see, hey, what did I mark as high priority? Oh yeah, these are the ones I want to get through. In some situations, you're going to be like, hey, what did I commit to doing? Like what's most pertinent based on when I committed to actually getting this done? And then sometimes you just want to see, what are all, as a manager, let me see a classic view. Let me see all the tickets from left to right, or maybe even more information with the table view. And let me see what's going on with all my agents as a whole. So you need to understand the different ticket views there. So that's how you can access different ticket views. Okay, so let's talk about how to create a ticket. And you should most of the time have tickets being created for you automatically based on the channels. Now, I don't know if you skipped this part of the video or if you've been watching this whole thing. So there is some overlap between what I'm going over now and what I went over earlier in this video. But if you haven't been watching this entire video, you need to understand how tickets are created. And tickets should be created from a either support email address, someone submitting an email to a support email address, which would automatically populate your system if you have it set up correctly. If you don't know how to set that up and you've skipped to this part of the video, make sure to go back to the setup section. If you hover over the timeline, you're going to see that. And then you can actually go to the specific setup points for channels. You need to have channels set up. But sometimes you don't have it set up. Maybe someone calls you, you don't have your channel set up, and you're a customer support agent, you take the call, you can actually create the ticket manually. I don't suggest this, try to make it as automatic as you can, but you can create tickets manually. And if you need to do that, this is how you do it. You just go to the plus icon at the top right. And if you just click on it, you don't even have to go to the drop down and go to ticket. You can just click on it and it will create a ticket. It will take you to the ticket creation page. And from here, you can select a contact. You can flip through your whole database and you can click on a contact there. Or you can click on account name as well. That's an organization versus a person being the contact, an organization being the account. And then you can flip through or you can add the email address. Once you select the contact name, a lot of this information is going to populate for you automatically. Then you can select the layout department, all the relevant ticket information you can submit here, attachments, whatever you need to do to collect the information that's critical for the ticket, you can do in the ticket section, the ticket creation page. All right, so that's how you can create a ticket manually, and then it will add here to your all tickets view. If you're in the all tickets view, you can also, and something I forgot to mention, so you have the custom view, you can also have a filter view. It just allows you to select or filter down your view that you're currently in by additional criteria. So essentially allows you to zoom in further from what you had customized for your custom view. All right, so that's how you can create a ticket, and ticket should be created automatically. Didn't finish this note, but essentially should be created automatically. But if it's not, then you can create it manually instead of automatically. Okay, so how to status a ticket. So when you jump into a ticket, you need to give yourself and others an idea of where this is at. You know, has this not been touched? Is it open? Is it in progress? Are you actively trying to solve this problem? Is it on hold? Are you waiting on something? Do you need to escalate it? Do you not know what to do here and you need a supervisor to come help you? And then closed. Is it done? And you can close it, and then you can set up an option actually to reopen tickets as people, you might think it's closed and then someone comes back and like, actually now there's this problem, and they might respond back to the ticket. You can either open a new ticket if you want, or you can just open that ticket and then have a correspondence again. It's whatever the best practices for your organization are. Generally, if a new situation arises, that's a new ticket though, generally. Anyways, you need to make sure that you status your tickets, and then how you actually do that, you jump to the ticket, you click here, and then you just submit the status that best fits the situation that you're in. Now, if you don't have the right statuses, you need to go to an administrator, go into the back end of the system and customize the different statuses to reflect the statuses that the statuses that best reflect your process for customer support. You need to make sure you have statuses for all the different situations that mainly occur. You don't want like 100 statuses, but you want enough so that when situations arise, you know which status to go to. And as a side note, you want to make sure that you have documentation. You can even just have a Word doc or a Google sheet that has each of the statuses and definitions with them. That's really helpful to have as a team. Okay, awesome. So next thing here, now that you know how to status a ticket, let's talk about creating a comment. So when you go into a ticket to respond, you may want to give some context in this ticket, just in case you have like a supervisor who's checking over your work, or you're trying to train other people. And you just want to make sure there's context there, especially if, let's say you're dealing with a ticket and then you get sidetracked and have to go for something else. You want to make sure that someone else can access the ticket and give information that's important, or have important information readily available through a comment. And comments are typically, internal. So if I click on this comment section here, this is how you initiate the comment. Then you can see a comment appears here. And if you submit it, then your customer who you're trying to support will not see it. So don't talk trash, but if you do, use a comment, make it internal. And then you can also make it public if you want to. so that if someone has a Help Center account, they can view it in their Help Center account. To learn more about Help Center, go to the previous section of this video for setup. Goes very in depth on Help Center. All right, so that's how you can create a comment there. Let's talk about how to respond to a ticket. So you got 3 main options to do it automatically, and then you have manual. So essentially a request comes in, right? And let's look at this one. Hey team, our client X with Y is having an issue. Can you associate, here's a request, right? We need to access this, see a video, context. Okay, so first order of business, when you open a ticket, you're gonna analyze the problem. You're gonna see what's going on, what's the issue. Now, if it's a frequently asked question, hopefully you have built up a series of different resources that you can automatically apply to the ticket. What does that actually mean? Well, if you jump in, you might say, okay, I've encountered this problem before, so I'm going to reply all, and then I'm going to use a snippet. I have a personal list of snippets, boom. Click on the snippet, it's just going to add right here, and then you can send it off. Now you can also go to templates, and templates are shared resources that you can automatically apply to a ticket as well. They're prettied up, sort of. I like it to look like you actually responded, but this looks okay as well. So you can use those different ticket templates across the organization, and then you can share them to the rest of the organization if you want to as well. So with that, let me backspace there. I'm going to Command Z and I've just removed that. Just undid that. So you got snippets, personal library. You can also share snippets, which that's where there's overlap between the two. You can also create templates for the rest of your team. That way everyone has access to it. And then finally, you've got suggested articles. And essentially a suggested article is the most fleshed out version of a solution or response to a commonly asked question. So of course, just so you know, you can just go in here and type it up. Say, hey, X, thanks for your response. Here's the solution. Or you can say, hey, we're going to review this and we're going to get back to you. Yes, you can manually key this in and then you can actually just go to send and send it. But the idea with a scalable system is that you can do more, you can get more output with less input. And the way that you save yourself that energy is you identify common threads. And so you want to examine the questions that you're getting all the time as a customer support agent and build up resources. That way you can copy and paste things and then adjust them as needed for a situation instead of reinventing the wheel every single time. When you're reinventing the wheel every single time, that's when you're in a not scalable solution and it feels like so much work to get done. And your work should get easier as you go because you build up these resources. And that actually bleeds into the next point for suggested articles, because essentially what you're doing is, if it was linear, and it's not always linear, you would graduate a snippet to a template and then to an article. And then that's where Zoho Desk gets more interesting, is once you graduate from a snippet to a template and then into an article, you can add this to your Help Center. And your Help Center is essentially a little website, a microsite. On your website, it's like the help.eurodomain.com. You're probably familiar with that. Try it with Zoho, help.zoho.com. You'll see their Help Center. It's all of their articles that they're publishing for frequently asked questions. Most matured organizations have a Help Center. And basically what you're doing is you're graduating the information that you've collected as a support agent and you're publishing it. That way people can take advantage of the information. Now, for what we're talking about here, in order to be a power user, just understand you need to be able to paste the ticket. We're going to talk about being able to add your own knowledge base article as well. Okay, so that's articles. Understand the knowledge base, because we talked about we just touched on the knowledge base, but to go a little more in depth, because I think this is important, is you want the knowledge base helps you twofold. It's 2 birds, 1 stone in that. Number one, it helps you. And I mean, it's kind of 3 birds, 1 stone, because it helps you to collect all that information and have it available for you to just be able to paste into a ticket. I mean, how nice is this? Just be able to have Zoho analyze the issue and suggest articles for you, and then you paste it into the ticket. That is super helpful. But the next thing that's helpful about this is then the rest of your team can use it. So you want to be a team player. You want to make sure the resources you're developing can be used across the team to make their lives easier and to improve the customer support experience. Third, what's really cool is then you can have these articles automatically published or published when they're ready to go to the help center from the knowledge base. Your knowledge base is essentially a collection of articles. So your knowledge base is the central hub for all the information you're collecting in the articles. You can publish your knowledge base through the help center. That way you can be proactive about customer support. This is where it really doesn't help you as a user per se, but kind of, because customers can first go to the help center and analyze all the articles or read through all the articles that you have there before they come to you, which is really important. So the main thing to take away from this is that there's a knowledge base section for all of the articles that you have created. And you want to make sure the knowledge base is there because number one, it could be displayed in a help center. Number two, you want to make sure your customer support agents, your fellow agents, are able to jump in here and view these as well. So understanding the knowledge base. Okay, so how to access articles in the knowledge base. So you can just jump into the knowledge base section. You should see that module, and then you can just click onto an article and you can read it. This is how you access it individually. Again, if you remember when I was in the ticket, suggested articles also pop up as you respond to a ticket. It goes to that section automatically for you, which is great. So you can actually flip through the various articles and you can brush up on the articles that your organization has created. And then in addition to this, you can create your own. You can add an article. And you can see, since I'm already in the knowledge base, Zoho is smart. It knows, okay, you're in the knowledge base. So if you click on this quick add, it's going to create an article. You can also at any time click on the drop down for quick action, and then you can go ahead and create an article. So you can also, if you want to get fancy, you can use and you're really a power user if you're using shortcuts, your hotkeys. That's the way to go. Okay, so you have articles that you can create right here. And once you create an article, it's almost as if you're inside of a Word doc. You can just go in here, add a title, and then you can go through all the information that you want to add for frequently asked questions or just information you think is valuable for people to read through so that they can get the support that they need and that you're trying to offer. All right. How to create an article for the knowledge base, we went over that. How to access articles, we went over that. Let's talk about how to access customer information. So when you're inside of a ticket should be associated to a customer. And you should be able to see their contact information right here. Now, if you're integrated with the CRM, you should be able to jump in and see their CRM information as well. And that is really helpful information to see right alongside the ticket, right? Customer information here or contact info, and then the ticket information here. Now, what you can do as well is you can actually jump to the customer section directly, and then you're just going to be able to see a list of all your different contacts and your accounts. You can flip through those. And so if you want to jump through and see all of that information, you can simply click on those views and you can look to, here, let me find this. Here we go. So if you jump over to customers, you'll see your contacts and your accounts. Just make sure that you expand this so that you can see, hey, these are all my contacts. These are the different views for contacts. And at the bottom, you'll see accounts. It's different views for different instances if you're in Zoho Desk or Zoho One. But the idea is you can see your contacts, which represents people, and accounts, which represents organizations that they're associated to. All right. So that is how you can access customer information, both contact and account. Let's talk about Zoho Desk mobile training. I think it's really critical that if you're going to use Zoho Desk, you have all the tools that Zoho Desk offers equipped. That way, if you're on the go, you can still provide customer support as an agent. So we're going to talk about how to use the Zoho Desk mobile application. And then if you are here and you are an administrator and you want to know the administrative tools that are available to you, when I say administrator, it's someone that's not only using the system, it's someone who's also managing the system, the development of the system. They're using reports, they're building automations. If you're an administrator, you want to check out not just the Zoho Desk mobile app, but the Zoho Desk Radar application, which allows for advanced reporting on the go. So we're going to go over all of that and more in the next section of this video. All right, now we're going to get the Zoho Desk mobile application and the Zoho Radar application. Only worry about the Zoho Radar application if you're an administrator, but everyone who's inside of Zoho Desk should have the mobile application installed as well. So this is how you actually go about installing it. Go ahead and jump into the App Store if you're on an iPhone. And if you're using an Android device, just go to the Play Store and search for Zoho Desk. And you can see I already have it installed here. But if you don't have it installed, go ahead, click into it and download it and see a quick preview of a bunch of the features there. And then if you are a Zoho Desk administrator, meaning you're going to manage the system, you're going to mess around with the automations and the development and the reporting, then go ahead and get Zoho Radar for Zoho Desk. It's a great application for administrators. So go ahead and download those. And then I'm going to go to Desk like this. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and sign in. All right, so now that I've signed in, you can see here I'm in the Zoho Desk mobile application. So from here, what's really nice is I can go to all tickets and I can view all the tickets that are here. And I can even jump into a ticket and see all of the different communications that have gone back and forth within a ticket. And the key thing you want to take away here is when you can, you're going to want to use the desktop web application, right? You're going to want to go in through your desktop device or your laptop, but sometimes you're just on the go and that's not going to be an option. And that's when you want to use this Zoho Desk mobile application and refer to information here. So some of the cool things that you can do in here, you can go ahead and click on the top right on this pencil icon. And you can, from here, you can edit the information on the ticket, which is great. From here, you can also change the different statuses. So you can see all the statuses are popping up here for me as well. And then you can also make attachments. So if you have attachments on your device that you want to include there, you can do that as well. So most of the things you can do from the desktop mobile application, from the web application on a desktop, you can do here too on the ticket view, which is great. You can see I can actually respond, or I can reply all forward. And I have quite a few options here, which is great. I also have all the different views that we discussed earlier here in the top navigation here. I have the handshake mode, time mode, list view. I can even see in relation to my status mode and then priority mode. I have all of that available here in the tickets. I can even see a feed section. So you can see generally the different information or the different updates across Zoho Desk right from here. I can even change departments if I am included in multiple departments. So a very powerful application. You can see I can even go to notifications, see the different notifications. I can even view my contacts from here and go to more. And I can go to approvals, IM, accounts, and settings. So make sure, first of all, that you download the application. And second of all, you can view all of the tickets there so you can manage your tickets from your phone while you're on the go. You can reply, you can edit tickets, you can do quite a bit in here until you're able to get back to your desktop to provide better customer support. So with that, that's how you can use Zoho Desk mobile application. And now we're going to transition into using Radar. So if you are a Zoho Desk administrator for your organization, you're going to want to check out Zoho Radar. Here's a couple of things that are noteworthy about the Radar app. Real-time stats at your service. So the thing about Zoho Radar is essentially what Zoho is saying is, hey, we can't give you reporting in the Zoho Desk mobile application. So we created a separate app entirely for more of the reporting side or the administrative functions. And so that's why you have the Zoho Radar Desk application. So real-time stats, exceptions no longer expected, your data your way. Interesting. Okay. Essentially, you can see live traffic, response times, different insights for reporting, feeds, quick view, just gives you more of an administrative understanding of the system. I'm going to go ahead and sign in. Okay. Now that I have signed in, I can see live traffic. So I can see incoming traffic, outgoing traffic. If I have the extension installed on my website, you can see all of that. And then the nice thing about this too is I can search for tickets, agents, and contacts. So this is different than what we saw previously within the Zoho Desk application, where I'm really in the Zoho Desk application, I can't do a lot of administrative work here, right? Like I can't see the different agents here. I can see different tickets. That's what's nice about Zoho Radar. If we flip back, is I can go over and see the different agents that are in the system as well. As you can see, I'm the only agent, which makes sense. I'm in a demonstration instance. But here I also have this quick view. And this quick view shows me all the tickets that are in the system. And essentially, it's a Zoho Radar, as in mobile application, is a buffed up version of Zoho Desk mobile application for administrators. That's the way that you can think about it. There is some overlap, obviously, right? Because I can view tickets here and do some of the things I can do in the Zoho Desk mobile application. But this is primarily for administrators. So if you're an administrator, get both. You're not going to regret it. You'll need to have both. Okay, so here's where I can get into configuration. The Radar store, select the customer support metrics that you want to monitor. So here I can see live traffic, and then I can see channel traffic, daily trend, current stats. I'm going to go ahead and select a bunch of these. And the Radar store just allows me to select the different reports that I want to see. Exception handling, see daily toast, get notified. Pick a time to get notified about daily ticket stats. Average time handling, first contact resolution, all these important metrics I can just get right from my mobile app, and I can apply. I can set different preferences here as well. If I want to change the different color, if I want to go to dark mode, or if I want it to be automatic, I can do that as well. I'm going to go ahead and keep it in dark mode. I'll do red on black here. Those are my colors. And then from here, I can jump into the menu, and then I can see the different trends that are happening, see the daily trend. I can go back and go to stats, and essentially it gives me all of the reports that I want and that I configured previously, right? So customer stats or current stats, average handling time, first contact resolution. I'm going to break some of these down for you. So average handling time, this is like how long it takes you on average over the last 7 days, right? And you can actually change that to last 30 days, whatever time span makes sense to you for reporting. And you can see, hey, on average, how long does it take us to get to our first response? How long does it take us on average to respond in general, right? Because you can have 50 responses in one ticket. So on average, how fast do we respond? And then you can see resolution. That just means closed won. If it's closed won, there was a resolution to the ticket or the situation that required customer support. You got first contact resolution. You can kind of jump in there more depth. And then customer happiness. Customers can reply or respond to a ticket with a rating and say how happy they are with their customer support service. So you can view all that information at a glance within the application. Super helpful administrator tool here to be able to view the different reports that are critical for you. So main thing I want you to take away from here is if you're going to use Zoho Desk, you might as well go all in and get all of the tools that are available from the application, not just the web application, but you want to have the web application, you want to have the Zoho Desk mobile application, and if you're an administrator, you also want access to the Radar application. Everyone loves automation because it allows you to work while you sleep, and you can automate the redundant and mundane tasks. That way you can focus on what's most critical for the organization. You can put your brain power in the right place and allow the software to work for you. So this is really why you use a solution like Zoho Desk, not just for reporting and usability and organizing your data, but it allows you to automate. And that's what I find my clients get most excited about is automation opportunity. So some pro tips before we jump in and I actually show you tactically how to go about automation, because I think this is helpful to know up front. Number one, every workflow follows the same pattern. And the pattern of every workflow is threefold. You've got the trigger, you've got the condition, which is optional, then you have the action. So you'll notice as we create each of these automations, no matter where you go to create an automation, it's going to follow those three components, that same workflow. You're going to set up a trigger, and a trigger has two parts. It has two options for a trigger. You have event-based triggers, and then you have time-based triggers. So an event-based trigger would be like when a record is created, then trigger the automation. A time-based trigger would be every morning at 8 a.m., trigger this automation. Or you could say, when this field that says birthday, when it's that day, trigger this automation. That's another time-based trigger. So you have those two general trigger types for an automation. And then the condition, the if, you'll notice we'll go through that when we go through the workflow builder and Zoho Flow and the other tools here for automation. That's optional. You don't have to put a condition. You can say every time a record is created, every single time it's someone's birthday, send out a message. But you can also say, hey, if it's created and this field equals X, Y, or Z, then trigger the automation. Just allows you to be a little more intentional about the automations that you're creating. And then you have the then. So when, if, then, trigger, condition, action. The action is what you actually want the automation to do. You want it to send the birthday message. You want it to send out a notification. You want it to assign, you want the system, Zoho Desk, to assign a ticket to somebody. It's the then. What do you actually want to do with the automation? I'm really excited to go over this. This stuff is pretty fun. One last tip for you. Examine your operations to build impactful automation. Don't rush to automate. It takes a lot of effort. Okay, so I see a lot of people that just want to jump in and automate everything. And we're going to go over the best way to prioritize automations, because automations take a lot of time and effort, and it's not always worth the time and effort it takes to automate something. Especially when you have this automate everything mentality, you've got to realize you don't want to cement bad practices into your organization. So you need to be able to prioritize the most impactful automations in your organization, what you should actually go about building. That's what we're going to talk about here with this effort impact matrix. And the idea here is you can list all the potential automations that you are thinking of building out. And another way to do that is actually to line out to build your process from left to right, or simply in a bulleted list, and go through the whole process and circle opportunities for automation. Examine your operations and say, what are things I could potentially automate here so I don't have to do it manually? From that list and you circling different opportunities, what you can do is you can bring them into sticky notes and you can do this exercise. And this is a very popular decision-making framework. It works really well. You would take the list of opportunities to automate something in your organization, and you would say, okay, on a scale of 1 being low impact, and 10 being high impact, what would be the most impactful automations? That is kind of vague, but it's the best word we can use, impact, because I don't know how to define what's going to be most impactful for your organization. And as a consultant, I can make a guess and say, it seems higher than that, but you're going to know based on the specific situations your organization is in, what's going to be most impactful for your organization to implement. And so that's what I'd suggest. You determine impact. What's going to be most impactful? And then you'll line up every single opportunity for automation on the high impact axis here, the y-axis. Then the x-axis is effort. So how much effort is it going to take to actually get this completed? Now, this is where you may struggle with understanding how hard it's going to be. And it might be easier for me to understand because I've done it before. So based on the automation you're trying to create, you can actually go to an expert, a software partner, an automation specialist, someone technical on your team, your IT team, whoever can understand the intricacies of actually building automations should be able to help you determine, okay, based on all the automations you've listed and said, these are going to be the most impactful, this is how much effort it's going to take to get done. And then they're going to sort them from left to right for you. And that's where you can then see what the best opportunities are and what you can do. So if something is super high impact and low effort, so it's here, right? The closer you are to the top left, the better the opportunity for automation is. It's super high impact, it's low effort. That's something, it's a quick and easy win. It's going to be very impactful for you. It's not going to take a lot of effort to get done. Let's move on that quickly. This is low-hanging fruit. Then you have major projects. It's high impact, but it's going to take forever and it's going to take a lot of effort. That's a high impact, but high effort objective, which means it's going to be a long-term project. It's going to take a little more organization. So let's move on these first because they're high impact and low effort. And then we can move over to major projects. Then you've got fill-in, which I also will call a backlog for tasks, which means it's low effort. It's not going to be that hard to get done, but it's also low impact. It's not super impactful to the organization. So these are things that we can keep in mind, but they're not necessarily critical to operations. And then you have things that are high effort and very low impact, which means they're a money pit. They're not going to do anything for you. It's not really worth focusing on. It was a nice thought, but let's not actually move on it, because you have, with automation, the important thing to understand is it's a game of strategy. You have very finite resources and time. You have infinite number of things you can do with the software, especially Zoho Desk. It's extremely robust. People always complain to me. They say, we only know we're using 5% of the application. That's pretty normal. I've never met anyone who's using 100% of an application. I've seen people who are using 10, 15% really well, but not anyone that's using 100%. So the key thing isn't measuring how much of the system that you're using, but how impactful the system is in helping you operate in the best way possible. And the way that you can do that is by making better decisions about how you're going to develop the system over time, because you can't develop everything. You can't use all the options in Zoho Desk. You should only be using the most impactful features and functionalities within an application. So that is a decision making framework here, the effort impact map. And that's a quick exercise that you can do with a team in a workshop section to determine what you're going to automate. And you can just do it personally. If you're just a one-man shop or one-person shop, then you can just do that for yourself. It's totally fine. So those are some professional tips for you. Every workflow follows the same pattern. Examine your operations, effort impact matrix. So this is the more conceptual part of this section. These are really helpful tips that help you make better decisions before you even go about automation. The last thing that I want to have happen to you is you get really excited about automation, you build one, it's useless, and you're like, automation, who cares? I'm just going to do things manually. So you got to go slow initially, go fast, and that will make automation much better for you and your organization. So we're going to transition over to the tactical. And what we have for tactical in automation is we're going to do a ticket assignment automation. We're going to do SLA escalation automation. SLA, if you're not familiar, just means service level agreement. And essentially, service level agreement is if someone purchases something from you, a service or a product, they want to know what level of service or customer support they can expect from you after the transaction occurs. So, for example, they say, "Hey, I'm a premium client of yours. Does that mean I'm going to hear from you 12 hours after I submit a ticket? 24 hours, 48 hours? What can I expect?" So that's SLA. What you also have here is notification automation. And the notification automation allows your agents and the people in your organization to get notifications on what's happening in real time inside of Zoho Desk. And then finally, you have Zoho Flow. It's really important to understand Zoho Flow. It's essentially like Zapier. Zapier is a very popular automation platform. Zoho Flow has an equivalent product to Zapier that you should just take advantage of because it's just as robust, if not more robust, has tons of options, and it's way cheaper. And if you're in Zoho One, you're actually already paying for Zoho Flow, so why not use it? And it has lots of trigger points for Zoho Desk as an application. So we're going to get into the tactical of ticket assignment, SLA escalation, notification, and Zoho Flow. All right, let's start off with how we can create a ticket assignment automation. Now, this is for the situation in which you are receiving tickets or tickets are being created in your system and you have multiple people on your team. So in order for your team to understand what tickets they need to handle, they need to be assigned to them. That's something important to understand about Zoho Desk is each ticket needs to be assigned to someone on your team being referred to as an agent. So how do we actually do ticket assignment to agents? If we go into Zoho Desk and we click on the gear icon, we'll be taken to this screen. And from here, you need to click on assignment rules right here. This is dedicated automation specifically for assigning tickets. You have two general directions you can take ticket assignment. You have direct assignment and then round robin. So direct assignment means, hey, if it meets this criteria, assign it to this specific person. Round robin means if a ticket comes in, distribute it to the next person in line. So if we have 4 people, let's evenly distribute tickets as they come in across the team. That's round robin. So you've got direct assignment and round robin. The important thing to understand here is operationally, round robin sounds nicer and a lot of people should use round robin, but direct assignment is typically the way to go in that you'll directly assign a ticket to a manager. The manager will analyze the ticket and then send it over to an agent. Now you can use either depending on the situation, but I've realized over time that a lot of people like to first as a manager see the ticket and then assign it to the person that's the best fit. Sometimes you can make it quantitative. So if they're in X location, assigned to Y agent, but a lot of times it's qualitative, it's harder to measure. So you have to see the ticket, the different information, you have to read between the lines and then send it over to a specific agent who's competent and able to solve that particular problem. So those are the two options that you have, direct assignment and round robin. Now we're going to go ahead and create a direct assignment workflow rule. So we're going to click here, go ahead and jump over to the assignment. Actually, apologies. We'll click on new direct assignment. And we're going to go over to assign all created tickets. So when ticket is created, and then we'll do the when if then, right? So when is required, if is optional. So we'll do when ticket is created, then we'll do it like this. When ticket is created, then update agent to manager, to customer support manager. All right, so ticket create, that will be the trigger. Execute rule on, again, back to my earlier point, when if then, here's the when section for the assignment builder. Ticket create, not ticket update. We'll add a target. And when tickets are coming into Brockbank agency as a department, right? We have our different departments here. Then I can choose criteria, which is if. We don't have to worry about that one. We're going to assign the ticket to the manager. So we just need to identify who the manager is on the team, and we can save it. So now, since this is set up and it's active, I jump out of here with direct assignment, assign all created tickets. When ticket is created, then update agent to the customer support manager, which is me. Unfortunately, I'm using a demo instance, so I don't have a lot of agents that I can choose from to show you, but you're just going to choose the agent if your situation requires this. You're going to choose the agent that is the customer support manager, and that will allow them to analyze the ticket and then assign. So that's how you can create a direct assignment rule inside of Zoho Desk and have it happen automatically. Now, that just happens on creation, so it's perfect automation for that situation. Let's talk about round robin. So I'm going to mark this inactive so we can do the round robin. I'll save it. Okay, so if you want to do the round robin, which again, you can see here, sequential assignment, it just evenly distributes tickets amongst a team, as you can see here. Great visualization, actually. Then we can go to new round robin assignment. I'm going to go ahead and remove this one. Do new round robin assignment. Do round robin to Brockbank agency agents. Then when ticket is created, then assign ticket to next agent in round robin assignment. Okay, so this is on ticket creation. Again, we don't want to do it on update. Could you imagine every time you updated a ticket, it was assigned to somebody else? That would be extremely frustrating. So don't select that. Now we're going to go to, and a couple notes. So the rule will not reassign tickets that were assigned via other automations. The rule will not assign more tickets than the number specified under threshold. When we add a target here, that'll make more sense. So criteria, again, we're not going to select a criteria because we're doing this as a blanket automation for all tickets created. But if you wanted to make it more specific and tailored to specific tickets coming in the door, you could actually select different ticket data points or fields and then further whittle down when this trigger or automation would be applied to tickets. So round robin type, load-based assignment. Assign tickets to agents based on their load until everyone receives the set threshold. You can do that. Most people do sequential, assign tickets equally among agents in a sequential manner in round robin fashion. You can also do skill-based, assign tickets to agents according to their designated skills. That's a little more advanced and it's kind of hard to set up. So we're going to go with sequential. And then here's some points to remember. When the list of agents assigned ticket to field is modified, the round robin sequential assignment will be reset. It will start assigning tickets from the first agent in the list again. Okay, that's important. When all agents or a team is chosen, then the round robin sequential assignment will assign tickets to the agents in alphabetical order. So you're going to choose a team. It's essentially a group of agents. Just understand that it's going to do the round robin assignment there. If you have 5 people on the team, it's going to go through that team in alphabetical order, because it doesn't really have any other order to go off of if you think about it. All right, so from here, I would choose the agents. I can also choose different teams if I want to. And this will, if I had multiple users, I'd click through all the users that were relevant to this automation, everyone on the team that I wanted to get a ticket, and then it would sequentially assign tickets coming in the door to different members or agents on the team. Or I could do load-based automation. So I could select this and then could save it. And then we can set a threshold here to essentially say, hey, at this point. Everyone needs to meet a certain number of tickets. That way, if we start the round robin and one agent already has 50 tickets, it's not really fair to them if they're having more tickets. So you could do load-based assignment, but again, most people are using sequential, so it's not really too tricky to decide that there. Just go with sequential. If you need to do load-based, you can move over to that later. All right, so that is how you can do ticket assignment automation inside of Zoho Desk. Let's go over SLA, escalation automation. So again, an SLA just means, hey, this is the service level agreement. We agreed on this service before we took you on as a customer. So we're going to make sure that if there's anything outside of our SLA, that we escalate that ticket so it can quickly get resolved. So the way that you get to the SLA section is you go to settings, go to automation, and then you go to escalate SLA. So here are the active SLAs. These have been pre-generated for me. But if I go to priority-based SLAs, we can configure this one and make sense of what the SLA automation actually does. So here's when. When do you want to execute this SLA? Ticket create. Execute only when associated with an account. We don't want to select this. This is just another way to filter, but you can see here's our when, and here's our then, and then here's our if. We can do some different conditions here to actually have this trigger. Keep in mind that SLAs are dependent on the department that they're assigned to. So you can assign different SLAs to different departments. Alrighty, so when do you want to execute the SLA? On ticket creation, we can certainly do that. We want to respond to a ticket within a certain amount of hours. So this is where we want to configure this more in depth. You can see here, set the conditions for this target. So if there's a priority ticket is high, so if I go into a ticket, show you this. If I jump into a ticket here, and I go over to priority, if I select high and save, now we're going to trigger this SLA. So the priority is high, that's the if, right? We have when, if, then. Here's the if, it's the condition. Then what we want to do about it is we want to make sure that that we have a response to that ticket within, let's say, 4 hours. Let's say that's our SLA. Only for their first response. Not every response has to be within 4 hours. You may have that requirement, you may not. But if you do have that requirement, you have an option that you can configure for it, which is great. So you have to respond within 4 hours once a ticket is created. You have to resolve the ticket, which means SB mark closed. So response just means you have to email and say, hey, we've received your ticket. We're analyzing things. We'll get back to you. And then resolve within means it needs to be marked closed. Jump over the ticket. See there's different statuses. On hold. You need to mark it closed within 6 hours. All right. So within that, since we have this set for the response and resolution time, now we decide that then the action that occurs once this is breached. So response escalation. If you don't respond within 4 hours, what do we want to do about it? So when to escalate on time. You could also do after, X amount of minutes after, or on the time, on the dot, 4 hours on the dot. If they have not responded, whom are we going to escalate to? Usually we escalate to a specific agent, right? We say, hey, this is our manager. We're going to escalate to this manager if the SLA is breached. Then we can say, we can choose the template too and say, notify agent when ticket is escalated, saying, hey, this ticket has breached the SLA agreement. This is an SLA violation. We want to make sure that this is taken care of. You can select the agent that will receive that notification and it will be assigned to them. Or you can actually choose, you can build a workflow rule to assign it to them, but here would just be the notification escalation, letting the manager know that a ticket has breached or violated the SLA. Actions on escalation. You can also choose to, again, change the ticket owner to a specific agent if you wanted to. You could even set the ticket priority to high. So if, for example, this was priority is low, you could then set it to high after the SLA has been violated on that ticket. That's what you can do there. Resolution escalation. So you can choose the same criteria we just did for assignment based on if a ticket has been resolved or not. If it hasn't been closed in 6 hours, then we want to escalate this. Want to make it a high priority. Now, this is kind of a tight SLA, 6 hours and 4 hours, but it just depends on what your customer support is able to provide for service. And so you would choose the template again, who you'd want to send the notification to, who you'd want to escalate to. And then you can choose a new owner if needed. Then you can also add number 2, which if you look here, set when and whom to be escalated for level 2 escalation. So you can say, hey, on time, we want to do it after this amount of time. But if it's, 3 hours after, or maybe we'll say a day after, then we want to resolve someone even higher in the food chain within the Zoho or within the customer support operations hierarchy within your organization. You can do that as well. Agent notification template, you choose that again. So you can set multiple levels as well based on how long it's been since since it's breached or violated the SLA. So you can also keep in mind, you can actually do it before, so you can be proactive and say, hey, we're getting to 20 minutes before the escalation. We want to make sure that it's reassigned. That way a customer support agent or manager can take action and make sure that this is resolved. So that is how you can configure an SLA automation. And that will help you to stay ahead of the game if you have a service level agreement that you are trying to keep to. And if you do have a service level agreement, you are obligated to set this up so that you can provide the service that was promised when you offered a product or service to a customer. So that's SLA, escalation automation. Let's talk about notification automation. So in order to get over to this notification section, you go into settings, and then you'll go to notify. And this will keep your team up to date in real time for what's going on in the system. So contact notifications for contacts, receiving a new ticket. This is notifications actually not even for your agents, but for your contacts. So when a new ticket is received, you can look here, you can configure a template. Say, dear X, dear contact name, your ticket has been created. Someone from our customer service team will review it and respond shortly. Thanks. That can save your butt for SLA as well. So you can configure these different email templates and then SMS templates as well for different events, like receiving a new ticket, acknowledging a ticket reply, closing a ticket. You'd want to set these so that your contact is notified with where their request is in your system. So that's helpful to be you want to be over communicative with your customers on where something is at in the process. You don't want to under communicate, leave them wondering what's going on and if you're even doing anything about their issues or their questions. So make sure that you configure these to reflect the different events that are happening as you are going about your customer support operations for a customer. So that's the contact notifications section. Then you have agent notifications again. So for assigning a ticket, if you wanted them to be aware of that, you would go to edit, and then you would change the template if you wanted to change the template. But you'd select the module's already selected, the name is already selected or is already filled out for you. So you can select the folder that you'd like this to exist within, and then you can even choose who this will be from. You have your different from addresses here, your reply to, your subject, and so forth. So you can even add attachments to if you need to. But that allows you to notify your agents for what's happening in the system as well. So I like that these are pre-built. You can just flip them on. They're all very useful and they're pretty intentional. So you can go through here and make sure that these are selected. That way your agents are getting a good idea of what's going on in the system as well. So that is notification automation inside of Zoho Desk. Now we've got Zoho Desk workflows. All right, so Zoho Desk workflows are essentially the workflow builder that gives you the most amount of flexibility in building a workflow. What we've gone over so far, they're very situational, right? SLA is very situational. Assignment rules is very situational. This is more general, building workflows more generally for more complex processes. It's not as specific as the other automations we've gone through. The way that you get to this section is you go to settings, and then you'll see workflows under the automation section. Go ahead and click on workflows and you'll be right here. So again, workflow rules like the other automations we've gone over are dependent on the department. So you want to make sure department selected. You can click to learn more through there. And then we can go to create rule at the top right. Again, let's just create rule right here, the blue button. When you go to create the rule, you'll select, first of all, a module that this workflow rule will be based in, which in this example, we're going to go do ticket, and then we're going to do ticket name. We'll do ticket automation demonstration. Wonderful. I'll go to next. So now we can choose the trigger for this automation. We can do it on create, edit, customer reply. Then we can say, hey, every time a customer replies, we want to, on every single ticket, we're not going to select a criteria because that's optional. We're going to send a notification, send an alert. There are no alerts associated with this rule. Let's do this. We'll go create, field updates, assign ticket, email, template. Let's do notification. Send quick notification. That's one way to do it. I want to do it like this. Actions, create, alerts. Okay. So we'll do an existing or a new. And then we can select a different, there we go. We can select an email template here and do notify agent. Notify agent when a response is sent for review. You can choose the relevant notify agent when a customer replies, do that, and then send email alert to a team or specific agent. And I'm not doing this with a specific use case. I want to show you generally how this section is worked. Choosing the trigger is pretty straightforward, but actually choosing a action can get a little confusing because there's so many different actions that you can choose from. You got email template here. Notify agent when a customer replies, send email alert to agent, and then you can choose the specific agent. Also notify the record owner, record creator, notify contact. The reason Zoho is able to do this also notify section is because Zoho knows that we're in the tickets module because we defined that earlier. So now it knows based on the ticket, we can see associated modules or objects like the owner, creator, the contact, and additional recipients inside of that specific ticket. So we could also notify them as well. So very robust actions that you have here. Another thing that you can do, you have a lot of different actions. Let's go through them. You have alerts, you have field updates. So you can update fields on the record. You can assign the ticket to somebody else. You can add a comment, send an email reply, reply via instant message, notify via instant message. So much going on there. Add tags, remove tags, add followers, mark ticket as spam, share ticket, add skills, remove skills, recalculate skills, reassign ticket based on skills. Wow, change layout, task, custom functions. There's so much going on here. And then you have custom functionality, which if you don't know, Zoho allows you to build custom functionality into Zoho Desk so that you can further enhance the abilities of Zoho Desk for your organization in your particular processes. The way that it allows you to do that is through something called Deluge. So you can see existing automations. I don't think there is one, but if we were to create one, we can jump in and we can use Zoho Deluge to add custom functionality into Zoho Desk for our organization. We just need to pass data initially to the record via arguments. You usually just pass the ID and you are good to go with creating a custom script. So this is the workflow builder for Zoho Desk. Now we're going to take a step back. So that's all of the automation capabilities. There's more, but that's the main automation capabilities, the critical ones within Zoho Desk. Now we're going to transition into Zoho Flow. And in the same way that in reporting, you have reporting in Zoho Desk, and then you have reporting in Zoho Analytics. For automation, you have automation capabilities in Zoho Desk, and then you have automation capabilities in Zoho Flow. And the nice thing about Zoho Flow is it allows you greater flexibility. So if you go to Zoho Flow, you may not have Zoho Flow if you're not in Zoho 1, but it's something to be aware of because Zoho Flow has something that Zoho Desk doesn't, which is the ability to integrate with other applications. So integration automation as well. And so I want to open your eyes to the capabilities of the Zoho platform and what's available to you. And Zoho Flow is very critical to workflow management and automation creation. So I'm going to go to create in Zoho Flow. You can go to flow.zoho.com. You can't see the URL here, but that's where I'm at. Or if you're in Zoho 1, go to 1.zoho.com and then navigate on the sidebar over to Zoho Flow. You can't see it here because I'm just in Flow. But if you're in 1.zoho.com, that's how you get there. All right, so I'm going to go to create and then create flow. We're going to do test flow. We're going to do Zoho Desk test flow. And this is how the application works. So we have a couple, and again, back to what I mentioned earlier, you have 3 different parts to every automation. three main components. The first is the trigger. So we get a trigger on an application event, on a schedule, which is a time-based event, a webhook, which is another event, a type of event-based trigger. And an event essentially, or a webhook is essentially someone is using automation or a computer to send basically post a URL into the URL bar. And that's essentially what's going on with a webhook. And you can configure a webhook so that if someone were to hit this specific URL or use it in a piece of code, it would trigger your automation. So that's just what a webhook is. Schedule is pretty straightforward and self-explanatory. An application event is going to make more sense because that's what we're going to use. Then you have polls, emails, and RSS. So you have the three top ones are the main ones, three bottom ones I don't see used as much. Email parsing sounds fun, but honestly, it's not as reliable as what you'd have with a webhook. So it's kind of a last resort to use an email parser. Let's go to app. So the nice thing about Zoho Flow, it's like Zoho Analytics in that it has a bunch of pre-built connectors to other applications. If you've ever done a integration with another application, you know that one of the most difficult parts is authentication. Or in other words, making sure that you, via code, are signing into an application that you actually own that application instance, or that you're in that application instance so that you can use it. What I'm trying to say is it is so much easier to use Zoho Flow than it is to authenticate via code. They've made it very easy for you. So what we can do here is we can just find Zoho Desk. And you saw there's not just Zoho applications. There's Azure, Basecamp, Bigin, which is a Zoho application, Bonusly. There's so many applications here. I mean, look, this is an absolute crazy amount of applications that you can integrate with in order to improve your organization's workflow. And then you've got all the Zoho apps at the bottom. So with that, we're going to type in Zoho Desk. Then we're going to, once we click on that, go to next. And we can see all the different triggers here for Zoho Desk. And we've got account created, account updated, all these different objects or modules have their corresponding events that we can create an automation on. So we can do ticket created. Then we can connect with Zoho Desk. We're just going to say Zoho Desk. And then from here, and we'll do all triggers and conditions. We'll just do all triggers there. And then once that's successful, as my portal, I can choose a department as well. So you can see we're doing the same thing in different ways in different applications, but it just depends on your situation, right? I mean, my suggestion is actually the opposite for reporting as it is to automation. In that automation, I recommend you use the in-application workflows as much as you can before you go to Zoho Flow. And then for reporting, it's actually the opposite. Most people grow out of the reporting within an application, and then they move over to Zoho Analytics eventually. So I tell people, just learn Zoho Analytics and get in there and start using it. Unless your reporting needs are extremely basic and you know they're going to stay that way, which is rare, but sometimes that's the case. So keep that in mind as well. All right, so real-time ticket creation trigger, and then we can actually go here and we can trigger actions in other applications. That's where this becomes so powerful. I mean, look, we have all those applications we were seeing before, but now instead of triggers, we're seeing actions within these different applications. So many possibilities here. It's absolutely wild how much you can do inside of Zoho Desk. So if we wanted to, we could go into Zoho Desk again, and we could use all these different actions to customize the capabilities of this automation. So we do ticket created, update call timer, update contract. There's so much we can do here. I'm just going to grab one. I'm not having a specific use case for this. I just want to show you the general flow of using Zoho Flow as an application. So we're going to do update ticket. We'll say, hey, ticket is created. We want to update this ticket. And what do we actually want to do? Well, for the department Brockbank Agency, in the Brockbank Agency typical layout, here's all the fields in the ticket. And what we want to do is we want to update the due date to today. And we have this as a system variable current date. So we can just update the due date for today. And then I can go and save this. Ticket ID, we can now Zoho's asking, hey, what ticket specifically do you want to update to today's date for the due date? We can go over to ID, ticket ID. And now the trigger ID from the ticket created trigger will end up in the action ticket ID field. So you can click done. And then I can flip this on and we're good to go. This is ready to go. It's working. So it's a when, ticket created, then update ticket, no criteria. So if we wanted to do an if in this equation, we could do a decision. And then we could add that in there if we needed to. We could drop that onto the canvas and go from there. We can also create custom functions. There's so much that goes into Zoho Flow, but I wanted to give you a quick introduction as to how these automations flow through different sections of Zoho Desk and then how it works in Zoho Flow. If you want to get the most out of Zoho Desk, you've got to learn how to build reports and dashboards inside of Zoho Desk. So this is what we're going to go over in this section of the video. We're going to go over reporting in Zoho Desk and then reporting for Zoho Desk in Zoho Analytics. Because to be completely transparent with you, Zoho Desk reporting capabilities are quite limited in comparison to Zoho Analytics. And so most people grow out of Zoho Desk reporting, really any of the other Zoho applications in-app reporting functionality, they grow out of it and then they move to Zoho Analytics. And so my suggestion is just take the hit, learn Zoho Analytics initially, that way you can get in and use it. But some of you are in a situation where you can only access Zoho Desk. So we are going to start with Zoho Desk reporting functionality and capabilities, and then we're going to move over into Zoho Analytics. So with that, here is what we're going to go over together. So first, we're going to go reporting in Zoho Desk, and we're going to do an overview of what reporting capabilities are here inside of Zoho Desk. So first off, in order to access all the reporting capabilities in Zoho Desk, there's not a reports module, there's not a reports section, there's an analytics section. So you click on analytics, and there's a couple things to note here in the analytics section. I'm going to put your attention to the left-hand sidebar here. We've got dashboards, and a dashboard is simply a combination of reports. So you can see multiple reports at the same time. And then you have the reports section here, which just allows you to create one report at a time. There's some pre-built reports that we are going to look over, but you build reports and you can add reports to a dashboard. And dashboards also have other components you can add to them, and we're going to review that in a moment. Then you've got advanced analytics. So that's Zoho Analytics, which is what I mentioned earlier. If you are using Zoho One, or if you're on Zoho One as the platform, then you have access to Zoho Analytics, but maybe you just have Zoho Desk, which in that case, you're just going to be limited to reports, dashboards, and you won't be seeing this advanced analytics section. Finally, you've got Radar for Zoho Desk. If you've been following along throughout the entirety of this video, you know there's a section in this video for Radar, Zoho Radar, which we're going to zoom into here. Mobile app for insight and impacts gives you a better idea of what's going on in the system from a mobile application. So those are the different options that you have for reporting. You've got Zoho Desk reports, Zoho Desk dashboards, Zoho Analytics, and Zoho Radar. All right, next thing here that we've got to go over is out-of-box reporting. So there are reports that Zoho has pre-generated for us that we don't even have to rebuild. We can just take advantage of what Zoho anticipated we would need. So if we go to the analytics section of Zoho Desk, and then we go over to reports, you're going to see all these different reports here in different folders. So we can click down here, article reports, account and contacts, activity reports. There's a bunch of reports already built out for us. So I can look at accounts by industry if I want to. I can flip through those. I can flip through popular articles. I don't have any articles in my knowledge base, but that is a report that's generated for us. And the idea I want to get across here is you don't have to create a report from scratch if you can find it here first. Why do the double work if Zoho has already done the work for you? So I just want to make you aware that there's pre-generated reports out of the box in Zoho Desk. Now we're going to talk about creating tabular reports. If you don't know too much about the difference between tabular and graphical or visual reports, essentially you've got two major buckets for reporting. So tabular is a spreadsheet. So if you see a report that's got columns and rows, and it reminds you of a spreadsheet. It's got a spreadsheet-like interface. That means it's tabular. That report is tabular. And oftentimes it really is the most popular, other than probably a line graph and a bar chart. And then on the other hand, from having the tabular reports, you have visual reports, which is seeing like a bar graph or a bar chart or a line graph. And those visual reports help you see trends over time better than you can see within a tabular report. You got those two major buckets. We're going to go over the tabular reporting here. We're going to move into dashboards so you can see some of the graphic or the visual reports that Zoho can provide you within Zoho Desk. Okay, so with that, we're going to go over to the reporting section. We're going to hover over this plus icon and click it. We're just going to add a report. And once we add a report, Zoho Desk is going to ask us which module we want to build this report on. When you build reports, you build it on top of a module. And when you think of a module, I want you to think of a spreadsheet with multiple tabs. You know, when you create a spreadsheet and you look at the bottom, there's multiple tabs and you can flip through maybe the contacts, the accounts in the tab. Each of those tabs represent in an application what a module is. It's an object. Object meaning a digital representation of a real thing. So a contact is an object that represents a person. An account is an object that represents an organization. It's a digital thing that represents a real thing. So when you think of tickets, tickets represents a situation in which requires customer support. So we're going to select tickets. And what we want to do here is we just want to see our tickets for this example in relation to statuses. You know, how many tickets do we have per status? If you remember, we go to desk and we jump into the tickets section. You'll remember that there are different statuses here for tickets. So we just want to see what tickets, we want to see a summarization of tickets associated, tickets by statuses. That'll help us see how things are progressing if things are stuck in our process. Now you can also select related modules. So this is the nice thing about a relational database, right? A spreadsheet is not a relational database. The data is not tied together in a meaningful way. You can force it, but that's not how it's intended to be used out of the box. Whereas an application like Zoho Desk, each of the records look at other records. So a ticket, on a ticket record, if I jump onto a ticket, I can see a contact, right? So what does that allow for me? It allows me to grab a related module, contacts, because Zoho knows that there's relationships between ticket records, right? This is the ticket, and the contact record, and the owner record. So, and the account, because the account is associated with the contact. So all the information ties together to allow us to build better reports and better relationships between data so we can jump to the correct information quicker than we could in something like a spreadsheet. Or a better comparison isn't even a spreadsheet. Really, it's to compare Zoho Desk to an email inbox. Because I mentioned this earlier in the video, a lot of people just use their email inbox to handle all of their customer support operations. Good luck reporting on that. It's extremely difficult, if not impossible. All right, so for this report, we're not even going to worry about related modules. We're just going to continue with just the tickets. So we've got a couple options. Tabular, which is just straight up spreadsheet. And it's like raw data coming from Zoho Desk. Summary reports allows you to view data along with subtotals, groupings, and other summary information. We're actually going to select summary for this report. Then matrix reports. Matrix reports allow you to view data summarized in a grid against both horizontal and vertical columns. We're going to select summary reports because that best fits our use case for wanting to see the number of tickets associated, broken down by, rather, statuses. So now we're going to go over to columns. We're just going to make sure that our statuses are available here. And you can see this on the right-hand side is our selected columns, and then we have our available columns here. I'm going to go over to grouping. We want to summarize the information by status. And from here, actually, we're going to select ID, ticket ID. And then we're going to go columns to total. We can select additional columns if we want to total that and see that in the report. We've got criteria if we want to filter. There's an out-of-box filter for created time. So we could do last 30 days, last 180 days, whatever time frame makes sense for the reporting is what we'll select. And we'll run the report. Before we run it, we got to give it a name. We'll do ticket count by status. And then we'll just keep that in the ticket reports folder. We'll let that load up. And you can see, because I'm in a demonstration instance of Zoho, there's not a lot of tickets happening in the system. There's not a lot of tickets that have been created. But we're seeing rolled up tickets by status. So what this allows me to do is I can click into the ticket itself, and it will take me right to the ticket. So I can see that breakdown of tickets and their status, corresponding status. If I had more tickets, you'd see more rows here. But you get the idea. It's pretty simple reporting, nothing too crazy. Save those reports, save as, and I can further customize and go back to the original settings for making the report. Another thing that I can do, which is nice, is if I had built a robust report and someone was asking for it, I could export it as an Excel, a CSV, a PDF, or even a CSV max record, or I could print it. Those are the options there for reporting inside of Zoho Desk. So you've got a couple of options if you want to get into visual reporting. And tabular reports are actually more popular, in my opinion, for what I've seen as compared to visual reports. Until you get into dashboards, then people use both, but mainly visual reports. And so we're going to go over the different options you have here for creating dashboards inside of Zoho Desk. So you got two options. You got these public dashboards, which you can modify quite a bit and have full customization capabilities. You've got these popular dashboards. So ticket status dashboard, right? Which tickets are escalated, which are in progress, which are open. Tickets by state, open state, on hold state, closed state. So different statuses relate to different states, and that's where you get this report as well. So you have these that are built for you: blueprint dashboard, SLA dashboard. You can see SLA violations, average residual time, like when do you actually resolve the different tickets that come in the door. You get all these reports built for you so you don't have to build them yourself. This overview dashboard, open tickets, on hold tickets. And these are quite nice. What I've realized over time is the reason people will move away from these, because they do look really nice. You're probably thinking, this is probably all I need. To start, it's probably all you need. But over time, as issues come about or you have new objectives as an organization, custom reporting becomes more and more critical. And that's where people leave these pre-built, baked-in reports, and then they move over to something like Zoho Analytics. So this is great at first, but over time, you typically shift over to a more robust solution. So use what you got. If you're just in Zoho Desk, use this. But if you have access to Zoho Analytics, you can create nice dashboards like this there, and then add custom reports as needed. So you got a couple of options here. You can actually export these dashboards as Excel, CSV. You can print, set as a default, go to full screen. You can do quite a bit there. And then from here, you can also add different filters. So if you want to add a filter for the time frame and just do the last 30 days, you can do that too. But you can see it's pretty much baked in. There's not a lot you can do to mess around with it. And that's typically the downfall of these pre-built reports, is it doesn't reflect what's critical for you. It reflects what Zoho thought would be critical for you. And it probably is initially, but over time, you're going to grow out of it. So that's one option. Then you got public dashboards, and this is where you have more customization capability. So public dashboards, you can see I'm just seeing these three here, just like I'm seeing these three dashboards here. So go to ticket and article dashboards. I can see a breakdown of the tickets in my database. So I can see all overdue tickets, tickets by status. If I want to add a component, I can go here. And then from reports, I can see reports that Zoho has created for me. I can also see the reports that I've created in the reporting section over here as well. So what I can do is I can do all tickets that are on hold. For example, I'll select this, and then I can choose the visualization, how I want to see the information. See as a pie chart. I can see it as a funnel, as a line graph, as multiple lines in a line graph. I can do whatever I like there. You're pretty limited, again, as far as customization or configuration of y-axis and x-axis, but you get the idea. I can add this as a component And I don't have any on hold tickets, so let's do this. Just throw one of these on hold. And I'll refresh it. Then I'll refresh this report here. We should see it populate. Awesome. On hold tickets. Then I can actually click into the ticket and then into the ticket again through subject, and it will take me right to the ticket. That is what I like about this reporting, that it has that functionality or capability out of the box, that I can actually jump to the report. I can actually click into the report and then into the record. That's pretty powerful. So that's what you can do to create your own dashboard within Zoho Desk Analytics. Now we're going to talk about reporting in Zoho Analytics. So we're going to go over the relevant part of Zoho Analytics for reporting in Zoho Desk, but there is so much you can do with Zoho Analytics because Zoho Analytics is what you call a BI tool, a business intelligence tool or platform. It allows you to actually grab data from multiple applications. That way you can blend the data together the way that you want to create the reports and dashboards that you need for your organization, which is something that Zoho Desk is not capable of doing, which is why I tend to steer over to Zoho Analytics when it's an option for my clients. And I suggest you do the same. So Zoho Analytics is just more robust in every single way. If you're in Zoho 1, you already have Zoho Analytics. If you can't access Zoho Analytics, ask an administrator on your team to go into the admin panel and add you to Zoho Analytics. All right, so here is Zoho Analytics, and the way that it works is from the bottom up. So what I want you to do if you're using Zoho Desk, I want you to add Zoho Desk as a data source. So if it's not, first off, if it's already added, don't worry about adding it. But if it's not added, what you do is you go over to add data sources here. And when you click on add data sources, you can see there's so many different options. So much going on here. And these are pre-built data sources. So this isn't even the limits for your options for bringing in data sources into Zoho Analytics. This is just what's been done for you so that you can easily throw in your credentials and get going. But what you're going to do for Zoho Desk is you're just going to do Zoho Desk. Then you'll see Zoho Desk here. You'll click into it, and then you'll choose the portal that you're going to sync data with. So you already have one, so it's not going to let me. But from here, it shows you a breakdown of the different modules that you can select, and then the different fields for corresponding modules. And you'll see that if you're setting that up. Then from there, you have data, right? So when you, again, if you think of an application like a spreadsheet with multiple tabs, each tab would represent a table, a data table, like we're seeing here. So if I go over to Zoho Desk modules, you see how every module is a different table. If we look at the raw data here, let's do it like this. Go into data, and then I go over to Zoho Desk and go into tickets. You can see the different tickets I have here in its raw data, which is very helpful for creating query tables from the ground up. If you don't know what a query table is, essentially you can use what's called SQL or SQL, as they call it, to string data or blend data together the way that you want so that you can create reports on top of that data that you need. So that's where you have a query table. From there, you create reports. So we can see that there's different Zoho Desk reports. If I scroll down here, let's find Zoho Desk. Right. We don't have Zoho Desk reports. We're going to create a Zoho Desk report. Typically, when you add a new data source, it asks if you want default reports created. Looks like I didn't select that, which is totally fine. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over to reports. I'm going to go over to chart view. And you can see when I create a new report, it asks me to select a base table in the same way, if you watched the last section of this video, that Zoho asked me which module I wanted to build reports on when I was inside of Zoho Desk specifically. So in the same way that I did that in Zoho Desk, I do that here in Zoho Analytics, and then I can determine what data points I want to bring into this report. So let's say I wanted to see tickets in relation to their statuses, similar to what we did in the last section inside of Zoho Desk. The way that I would do that here is I would go over to ID, and I'd get the ticket ID. And then from there, I'd put that in as the Y-axis. And then for the X-axis, I would choose status, and I'd throw status over here. Now, once I generate it, you can see it's pretty simple because I just have one in each, but Zoho Analytics will sync the rest of the data over on a periodic basis. So every 3 hours, as long as the system information is changing, you'll see that reflect here every couple of hours. That's one advantage I will say that Zoho Desk in application reporting has as an advantage over what we're seeing here in Zoho Analytics, as far as its real-time data sync within Zoho Desk as an application. But Zoho Analytics offers you more. It just has a periodic sync of every 3 hours as the minimum currently for data syncs. So keep that in mind. That is one advantage that Zoho Desk certainly has. You can see here, I can actually switch these two if I wanted to. And I can flip the report. So I can see, okay, how many are open? How many are on hold? I can drill down into the data as well. I can select the ID. I can actually go back into Zoho Desk into a ticket itself. And then I could throw in the ticket ID. And it would take me right to that ticket. So quite a bit that you can do there. You can also search for it, I believe. You can't search by ticket ID, but you can throw it into the URL and get to the specific record that you want to go to. From the report, you can also do a concatenation of the base URL here and the ID. That way you don't have to do what I just did for the URL. I don't even think you guys can see the URL for what I'm showing. But yeah, you can essentially concatenate the base URL with an ID. That way you can actually jump to the Zoho Desk ticket record right from the report. In the same fashion, or in the same way that inside of the Zoho Desk reporting capabilities, you can jump into the report, you can click into the report, and then you can get to the ticket ID as well. So the nice thing about this, I'm going to call this Zoho Desk tickets by status. We'll do Zoho Desk ticket count by status. Save that. And then from here, you have, and we've been going from the bottom up, right? So we've gotten data sources, data, reports, and we've got dashboards. So with the dashboard, I go ahead and create a dashboard. I'll call this a Zoho Desk dashboard. I can actually grab the tickets report that I created. Tickets Zoho Desk. I want to see status. Let's see. Zoho Desk ticket count by status. Wonderful. All right, I can select that, and there we go. There's the report that I created, but now it's a component on the dashboard. So that's how you can, first off, get data into Zoho Desk, get data from Zoho Desk into Zoho Analytics. That's how you can view its raw data. Again, allowing you to either create query tables, which is blending data together. That's pretty advanced, so we're not going to go too far into that in this video. But I want you to be aware of its capabilities, especially if you've got the resources on your team to take advantage of SQL. It is extremely powerful stuff. Then you've got the ability to create reports, just individual reports, visual or tabular. And then finally, dashboards, which allow you to create visualizations of multiple reports in one view, which we're seeing here. So that is the power of Zoho Analytics with reporting on Zoho Desk data.